You're truly an inspiration, I tell you. You know, she made a difference in hundreds, if not thousands, of dogs and cats. And without her, all those lives would have surely been lost. But I'd like to introduce you next to Paul Swart, and some of you have already met him. I'm going to trim this down a little bit. Paul is from South Africa, and began his career in the late 80s in the tourism industry as a junior guide in the remote Limiante region.
Northern Botswana, yeah.
And under the tutelage of renowned safari guide Map Ives. And you know, if you Google his name, he's going to pop up a lot of times. I did it. He's very much involved. You know, Paul, he's worked his way up the ranks, some of the best game reserves. And I was so embarrassed when I first saw that. My immediate reaction was game reserves. That sounds like a hunting club, but it wasn't. It was just for the pleasure of viewing these magnificent animals in the wild in their own natural habitat. That was such a relief to realize that, but I was embarrassed. But so Paul's going to share some information on some of the good things that are going on.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you for organizing this. It's very heartwarming to see so many people turn up. How many of you have been to Africa? How many of you? 1, 2, where's Scotty? 3 people have been to Africa, and you're all standing here supporting a fantastic cause. My wife Caroline and I live in Aiken. We're both from South Africa, born and bred, and I'm a professional wildlife guide. And this is a very they say cowboys don't cry, but you're allowed to whimper.
Hey,
that's
people
okay.
in the South really.
Well, it's very emotional because I've been involved with wildlife from this size, and we're losing our wildlife. Okay,
It's a tragedy, and
it's a tragedy. So to see everybody come out and support is fantastic. We need your help. Okay, it's a global struggle. We can't do it on our own. We need the money. We need the support. 136 cities are demonstrating today to save elephants and rhinos. My brother-in-law is responsible for all the rhinos in Botswana. He has a big job, and he can't do it on his own. And I asked him to write a letter for today that I could read to you, because I wanted to hold this up. This is in Kenya, in Nairobi, and the Sheldrick Wildlife, and I've been there. And you see these little elephants, you go and see these orphans as a result of poaching, you'll want to do something. It's quite an amazing job these do. So if you ever want to support a project, and what we do with this is you can buy your friends a Christmas present that you adopt a baby elephant. It's online. It's a fantastic program.
it's $50 to sponsor an orphan.
And it means a lot, and they do a fantastic job. Sorry, I'm getting back to my normal self now. I just wanted to say, with all the bad news you read and see on television, you see pictures, really awful pictures of elephants poached and rhinos without horns. It's awful. And my wife Caroline and I deal with it every day because we support the Botswana Rhino Project. We donate as much money as we can every year. They're doing fantastic work. So with all the despair out there, there is a lot of hope, okay? And there's a lot of good people in Africa doing a lot of good work to save these animals. But they can't do it alone because it costs money, you know. Anti-poaching, to catch the criminals, to prosecute them. These are sophisticated criminals that have come into Africa, and there's a demand in the East for ivory and rhino horn, and you know, 1 kilogram of rhino horn is worth $65,000. You go to a poor man who lives in a village who knows where a rhino, and say, we'll give you $10,000, that's $1 million for him. They're going to poach the rhinos. So first of all, we've got to stop the demand, try and educate the folks in the East to stop the demand. And secondly, we've got to educate the people in Africa that are doing the physical poaching to protect the wildlife. Because without the wildlife, we won't have any tourists, and everybody will lose, okay? So I asked my brother-in-law to write something good. They're doing good work in Botswana. They're relocating rhinos from areas that are heavily poached into the center of Botswana in the Okavango Delta, and they've set up a program. The government has bought into the project. He's got a battalion of anti-poaching army soldiers to protect these rhinos and elephants, not just the rhinos, and the elephants. And they have satellite tracking collars on most of the rhinos. And the way it works, just so you know, is they put a bracelet on the back of the rhino when they release it, and they drill the receiver into the horn. If the rhino gets poached, and they can track them through satellite on a computer. If the horn gets separated 10 meters from the bracelet, they know that the rhino has been poached, and they can go there immediately. It sends an alarm. So this is how the good work that's going on, how they're trying to save the rhinos and keep them safe. Because once you release them in the wild, they run and they go and they breed and they multiply. So I don't want to take too much time, but I want to read the letter from my brother-in-law. His name is Map Ives, and he's the rhino coordinator for Botswana. And it says, a message from Map on World Rhino and Elephant Day. As the world's people highlight the plight of the remaining elephants and rhinos on Saturday, including an internationally organized poaching onslaught on both species and the ongoing commercialization of natural resources, it is also necessary to remind ourselves of the really good work being done by dedicated groups and individuals in many countries around the world. I think here of those who are leading campaigns to educate consumers, those who place themselves directly in the line of fire in the bush, those who speak out politically against the scourge, and those who look for positive ways and means of securing a future for these magnificent animals and their habitats. Despite all the negativity and bad news, there are stories of success and hope. Our recent move of a group of black rhinos to Botswana from South Africa is being hailed as a great example of cooperation and good management and excellently run operation, and which has opened the door for further projects in the near future. All of these are part of a positive strategy to both increase the chances of breeding in the wild, as well as place rhinos in an environment where they will receive protection and increase rapidly in number. Just this week, our monitoring team reported the sighting of 2 newly born white rhinos deep in the bush of northern Botswana. Providentially, in the same week that our country celebrates its 48th year of independence, that's Botswana. Two may seem a small number, 2 rhinos may seem a small number, but to us it signifies a major success in which shows that despite all the bad news out there, that with dedication, a plan and your help we are succeeding. Of course, with success comes the very real threat of attracting poachers, and therefore a heightened responsibility to the rhinos as they grow in numbers and disperse. The Botswana government, through the Department of Wildlife and National Parks, has committed scarce resources to the protection of the rhinos. And our President has placed wildlife protection at the top of our nation's security agenda. With leadership like this, we know that our rhinos face a fantastic future in this wonderful country. So that's the good news. But we mustn't forget the bad news. But people are the Kruger National Park. Where's Scotty? Scotty has been there, changed her life. She traveled there and saw the wildlife. They have a tremendous problem with the poaching from Mozambique on the rhinos and the elephants. And they are working very hard at trying to solve it. We call it a global struggle. Howard Buffett, Warren Buffett's son, has donated $23 million to the Kruger National Park to fight the poaching in the park to save the rhinos there. On a separate note, Paul Allen from Microsoft, he has donated $7 million to try and count all the elephants in Africa. Nobody knows how many there are, and they're busy doing it now. And they do it through an aerial census, so that we know how many elephants there are, so that we can manage them. And that's why it's a global struggle. The American people are playing their role in saving Africa's wildlife, and we really appreciate it. And thank you for coming out today. And sorry I got so emotional.